I think that very easily we could see Bitcoin going up to 50,000 by the end of this year.
Hey, what is up, guys? Bitcoin is finally broke out of the long-lasting downtrend channel. Could this be a new beginning in Bitcoin price? I will address this question in this video. Also, we will take a look at realistic Bitcoin price prediction by the end of 2020 and beyond. First, let's take a look at Bitcoin price action. Bitcoin currently is trading around $8,300 by the time of this video. It's nice to see this upper movement from the recent $6,800 low, which happened last week in January 3rd, 2020. That is right, we are in 2020 already. Time goes fast. Make sure you don't waste it. From $6,800 to the current price of $8,300, that's about $1,500 gains within just a matter of 5 days, or approximately 22% increase. Not bad at all. We can see that Bitcoin's price is broke out of this descending channel as long as the price momentum continues to increase or at least go sideways for some times in the future. Then we can say for certain that this downtrend is broken. However, if Bitcoin dips back into this channel within few weeks, then most likely we will continue riding this channel for some times. Personally, I don't mind it. When Bitcoin was around $6,800 in January 3rd, my initial plan was to take a new position at around $6,000. Since that did not happen, at least not yet, then I'm not going to buy more Bitcoins, unless if we see another major pullback from near highs. Personally, I like buying dips, or you can call it falling knives, and I also like consolidation after the falling knives. But I do not like enter into the market in upper momentum or in FOMO. I know this is very tempting, however, I believe this is when you should have some self-discipline and ignore those tempting entrances. Just remember, as once Benjamin Graham, the author of The Intelligent Investor, said, market is not there to instruct you, market is there to serve you. And it will serve you as long as you have temperament. Many crypto YouTubers believe that you should dollar cost average, buying periodically every month or every quarter. Man, screw that shit. Considering the fact that this market is so volatile, trust me, there will be the time when blood flows across the street and everyone is selling their bitcoins, panicking, jumping out of the windows. This is the time when you have to buy. I know at that time you will have doubts in your mind. Believe me, this is the time when you do not want to make decisions based on emotions, which is very hard to do. You have to be rational and buy it anyway, regardless of how many negative thoughts you have in your mind about Bitcoin. Still buy. This video is presented by DueDex. DueDex is reliable and trusted cryptocurrency exchange with up to 100 levered swaps. It has a new and unique feature where you can amend your order price by dragging and dropping on the chart. It is very useful and easy. Use the link in the description box below, sign up and get $10 bonus. Deposit 0.1 BTC, get $50 bonus. Deposit 0.2 BTC and get $100 bonus. Where Bitcoin is going to be by the end of 2020? This is $1 million question. If I knew the answer, I would not be making YouTube videos, trust me. Instead, I would be sipping cocktails in my private island. No one really knows for certainty, but what we can do is stick the odds on our side. Slightly more than 4 months away, there will be a Bitcoin block halving reward, which means mining rewards will drop in half. This is a big and very important event in Bitcoin's mathematical system to decrease the inflation BTC output into circulation. Let's take a look what potentially can happen in these 4 upcoming months prior to Bitcoin halving reward. Shout out to Plan B, he always conducts great and interesting Bitcoin analysis. He posted this chart on October 2019, explaining what Bitcoin has done in previous Bitcoin halving. First halving took place in 2012. Bitcoin increased from $5 all the way to $12, which is represented by these blue lines. That's about 2.3x return on your investment. The second Bitcoin halving took place in 2016. Within 6 months prior to halving, Bitcoin increased from $350 to $650, which represented by these purple lines. That's about 1.7x return on your investment. Let's say that the current price of the Bitcoin is around $8,000. If Bitcoin would increase by 1.7x before the halving, that would put Bitcoin price close to $13,600. And if Bitcoin would increase by 2.3x, it would put Bitcoin price around $18,000. However, it is much easier to go from $5 to $12 than from $8,000 to $18,000. Therefore, I believe we can expect Bitcoin to increase somewhere between 1.5x and 1.7x, and that should put Bitcoin price between $12,000 and $13,600 before Bitcoin halving. Now the question is, what will happen after Bitcoin halving? Well, let's take a look. In December 2012, after Bitcoin halving, the price was around $13 a coin. It was slowly increased for the most part, and it was consolidating sideways. 1 year later, in December 2013, Bitcoin spiked all the way to $1,200 a coin. That seems like unrealistic rate of return from $13 all the way to $1,200. That would be 92x return on your investment. Let's take a look what happened 4 years later during the next Bitcoin halving, which took place in July 2016. The day after halving, Bitcoin was trading around $700. Similar to 2012 situation, Bitcoin was not really doing much, just fluctuating sideways for the long period of time. Until January 2017, it started reaching more and more positive momentum. And by the end of the year, at December 2017, Bitcoin was over $19,000 a coin. From $700 all the way to $19,000, that would be 27x return on your investment. Not as much as before, but still very impressive. So, what can we expect in 2020? Well, let's assume that Bitcoin will be around $12,000 right after Bitcoin halving. Just like in 2012 and in 2016, it took a long period of time to see those major spikes. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where Bitcoin is going to be by the end of 2020, but I believe we will reach new all-time high. However, sometimes in 2021, we might witness that major Bitcoin spike. I would disregard 92x right away for the same reason as prior to Bitcoin halving, but 27x seems more realistic. In fact, Bitcoin does not grow linearly nor exponentially. It grows in logarithmic patterns, which means it would be reasonably to assume that next Bitcoin spike would be lower than the previous two. I would say that the rate of returns between 10x and 20x sounds more or less realistic, which means Bitcoin price in 2021 can reach somewhere between $120,000 and $240,000 per coin. Some other analysts believe that Bitcoin can reach $50,000 per coin by the end of 2020. Let's take a look what he has to say.
Talk to us first about this incredible ride over the last 10 years. I mean, 9 million% is more than any asset I've been able to find, and I've looked for them. What do you think the future of Bitcoin is like?
I think that very easily we could see Bitcoin going up to 50,000 by the end of this year. We have our analysts at Nexo crunching the numbers, doing very substantial research. And it is just a hell of a ride. It's the halving coming up because the rewards for miners are dropping. Last time this happened, Bitcoin rallied 4,000%. And it's been an incredible asset. It's uncorrelated to the overall market. It delivers systematic asymmetric returns. And the only thing that we have seen close to anything like this has been the rise of the US dollar against the Reichmark in the 1920s, where you saw $1 being exchanged for 5 Reichmarks in the early 1920s to $1 being exchanged for 4 billion Reichmarks.
Well,
so, you know, if it follows this trend, there's a long way to go for Bitcoin.
I mean, I did an experiment where I lived on Bitcoin for a couple weeks back in 2012 when it first hit $1,000 and people thought that price was insane, absolutely ridiculous to pay $1,000 for this digital token. Of course, now we're seeing it trade a little more than $7,000. But it's not any easier now in 2020 to spend Bitcoin on the street than it was back in 2012. It wasn't easy. Why don't you think it's picked up as a method of payment?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, the initial idea was we're going to pay for coffees with Bitcoin, but obviously that has failed to materialize. I think the narrative now that is much more persuasive is that Bitcoin is the new gold. And we see confirmation, like with the turmoil that we have this morning, Bitcoin is rallying on par with gold. And, you know, in terms just of sheer price action, if Bitcoin is the new gold and it just captures just like 10% of the total market cap of gold, which is around 8-9 trillion, goes up to $1 trillion, that will be Bitcoin at $50,000. So you got to stop thinking in terms of whole Bitcoins and start thinking of Satoshis, because that will be what most people will be able to afford. Just Satoshis, not a whole Bitcoin. There's only 21 million to go around. There are more millionaires in the world.
So a Satoshi is 1/8 of the Bitcoin?
Exactly, yeah.
Just the Satoshi is what you would compare to a cent when you're talking about $1, Anna.
Let me know what do you guys think about this Bitcoin price prediction. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, hit that like button and subscribe.